Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Spears with drpremed.com. Excited to have you guys on today. I want to share a little bit of something that happened recently I saw online, but I want to paint a little bit background story about things. And we're going to go back in time to when I was in high school, probably about 15 and a half years old. And it was time to learn how to drive. So, what's the first thing that you need to do if you want to learn how to drive? You have to get a learner's permit. And how do you get a learner's permit? You have to take a test. And what type of test are you taking? You're taking like you get a booklet, a pamphlet from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and you need to study this pamphlet and booklet to know all the rules about driving and regulations and that, stop signs, what the turn signals mean, and all that other good stuff that you have when you're learning how to drive. So I went ahead, studied, got this book, studied up on everything, knew all the symbols and what all the lights and everything meant. And then I went into the DMV pretty nervous, but very excited at the same time. And I was able to pass my exam. And so I got my learner's permit. And so once you have your learner's permit, you know what you're able to do? You're able to get on the road with an experienced licensed driver with you and actually start learning how to drive a car so that you can ultimately take your test again, a road test, and get your license, your driver's license, to be able to drive by yourself at this time. And I did this in in Pennsylvania, and I think one of the restrictions was there was like a curfew actually with your like junior's license or something like that, where you couldn't even drive past maybe 11 p.m. And this is a while ago. This was in the early 2000s, like 2000. Yeah, probably like 2000. Yeah, 2000 or so when I turned 16. And so that was one of the rules. So you couldn't be out past 11 with your junior driver's license. I'm not sure if it changed now where you guys can just drive whenever you want. But the moral of the story is, okay, so you have this paper test you need to take, and then you need to do the on the road driving test. And I actually went to a high school where we had driver's ed, and you could actually take your driving test through the school. The driver ed instructor of the school like had some leased vehicles that you would go on the road. I was Mr. Red K or so, and I would get in a car, drive around, have to learn how to parallel park, and I'm just abide by all the rules and regulations. And if you were proficient enough, didn't break any laws or anything like that, you would pass the on the road version, and then you would get your driver's license and your junior's driver's license, where then you could drive basically without any restrictions except the thing about the age limit of not being allowed to be on the road after 11 p.m. on. I think it was like maybe that was for school nights. I believe that was school nights or so. I'm not sure. This was a law in Pennsylvania. But you're wondering, okay, Dr. Spears, why are you telling me this? What's the point of all of this? It's because the other day I came across something that's just very crazy, extreme, and disappointing, and I don't want you guys to make this mistake. There's a pre-med student that they posted online that they spent the last 6 years of their life volunteering, doing extracurriculars, and learning what it's like to be a physician as a pre-med student, so shadowing and all of that, only to be told by the medical schools that they actually need to improve their MCAT score to get into medical school. That's crazy. That's insane. And I don't know why somebody would do that. When I say why you would do that, it's because you have to know where you're weak at in your application candidacy for medical school and fix that. So, using my analogy, why I was telling you guys about the driver's ed and driving experience, what this pre med student was doing, this would have been somebody who passed the written portion of driver's ed and failed the actual on the road portion of the exam. And so, knowing that they failed on the road portion of the exam, what did they decide to do? They decided to get out their DMV book and read over and study all the rules and regulations for driving, not actually fixing the area that they're deficient in, which would actually be on the road driving. And in this case, it wasn't that you needed more extracurriculars, you didn't need more volunteering, you needed more time studying for the MCAT and getting a better MCAT score. And so you guys can't go ahead and just go ahead and do what you want to do because that's what you feel like doing, or you're like not going to be concerned about something and think you're a special case, special scenario, and the rules don't apply to you. They apply to you, they apply to everyone. And there's a reason why medical schools have you do all these different components to your medical school application because they're all important. Now, some of them may be weighed more, and obviously, if you're pre med, you guys know you get stressed out, you get anxious over the MCAT because you know there's a lot riding on that test because that test really could make or break your chance of getting into medical school. As this applicant found out the hard way, like you didn't have a strong MCAT score, and so you didn't get into medical school. Instead of taking 3 to 6 months to improve your MCAT prep and retake the exam, you then went and spent 6 years volunteering, shadowing, trying to gain all this clinical experience, only to be told that, hey, guess what? Those 6 years that we're happy that you went ahead and did that, you have that experience, but guess what? You're still not qualified. You're not a competitive applicant for medical school. You need to go and retake that MCAT again. And so what? Now you're at about 7 years or so, and maybe depending on when you're going to retake this MCAT, the application cycle might be over. And so now you're at 8 years out of your life that you've missed out on because you did the wrong things instead of what you should have been doing. And that's a lot of time. That's 4 years of medical school that you could have gone through. You could have been a physician and very nearly could have been done with residency because residencies are anywhere from about 3 to 7 years, depending what specialty you go into. So you could have been a physician, a doctor who graduated medical school and even finished up residency, but you decided that you were going to just kind of ad lib do things on your own and do the volunteering extracurriculars instead of what you needed to do, which would have been the study for the MCAT. I'm sharing that story, use an analogy of driving because it's something that we all can relate to. I know, but younger people, you guys are like, you know what, Dr. Beal, you're old, man. We don't do driver's ed. We don't drive. We use Uber and all that stuff. Yeah, that's great, but there's gonna be a point where you guys probably might want to drive. I know they say that the age of people learning how to drive is going up because of all those other things, and then even social media. You don't have to actually get in the car and visit your friends. You can do everything online. But I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. And that's things that you need to know throughout your career, the things that you need to do to be competitive for what you want to do. And here's another case in point. I'll share another story that kind of goes along this with people getting the wrong idea of what's going to make them competitive or a strong applicant for something. So a lot of people want to do plastic surgery. That's extremely competitive. That's one of the most competitive residencies, specialties to get into. Like to do an integrated plastic surgery program because that's going to be 6 years and then you're going to be set for life. And so, what a lot of people do to get into plastic surgery, they're going to go and they're going to do research because a lot of programs they want you to have research. Research is very important and it doesn't necessarily need to be clinical or based in plastic surgery. They just want to see that you have research experience before applying to a plastic surgery program. So a lot of people they'll go and they'll do it. They'll actually take a year off from medical school and do research. It's great. And then they're an ideal candidate. But then you have some people who have already graduated from medical school and they want to go into plastic surgery and they think, oh, I'll do a year of research to get into plastic surgery and that will make me a shoe-in candidate because I'm doing what everybody else is doing. And unfortunately, what they don't realize that if you already graduated from medical school, it's not about doing the research that an integrated program is going to look for somebody who's applying to plastic surgery. They want a surgeon. They want somebody who they can train and knows how to operate and has a surgical skill set. And so you would be better off, better served doing a preliminary year of general surgery and then maybe mixing in some research and then applying to an integrated plastic surgery program. And all these applicants and candidates are doing the wrong thing. They think, oh, I need to do research. I need to do research. And that's not going to get you in the door. You're not going to be competitive to the other person who already has that surgical background and skill set where a program director is like, you know what, I can just teach this resident physician how to operate on in a plastic surgery manner, but these other people, I have no clue what their skill set is, and doing research doesn't help me do that, because when you're residents you need to operate, that's what you're going to be doing. And so that's what you guys need to be aware of, the things that, what are you doing? Is that something that's going to get you ahead? Is that something that people are looking for you to have at the next level? So as a pre-med student, if your MCAT score is weak or horrible, you need to fix that. That's not going to come about by doing research, volunteering, clinical experience, shadowing all these doctors. No, you need to take that time and fix your MCAT score to be competitive for everybody else who's applying to medical school. So I want you guys just to be aware of that. And you're going to save yourself a lot of time. You're going to save yourself time, energy, and put yourself in a position where you're competitive and you ultimately get into medical school and you live your life. Because I could not imagine myself spending 6 years doing something. I would just be like, what was going through your head? Who were your mentors? Did you even have any mentors? Who told you that was a good idea? And even after 1 year, I would think, okay, I did this for a year of clinical volunteering and shadowing. Maybe that's enough, or maybe I should speak to somebody to figure out what I should be doing. But 6 years of that, that's a lot of time. And guess what, guys? I say 6 years, and guess what? Integrated plastic surgery program, that's 6 years. So wow, you could have been done with plastic surgery if you did the right thing. So this is Dr. Speed with drpremed.com. Want to sign off on that and just share those tidbits with you guys, and make sure you guys are making the right choices to what you need to do to be successful in getting into medical school and being competent physicians.